Hey creatives, I know I said there were three parts to this. I know I meant it. There's make, share, and listen. It's a circle, all of that. But there is a fourth, there is a center to the circle. And while the creative process that we can all go on is the making and the sharing and the listening, at the center of that circle is community. We create in communities. We are all creators, hopefully. Not all of us are embracing that creativity, but we live in a community. We share what we're doing in communities. Maybe it was self-evident to say that you can't make and share it with others and listen to their response without being in a group of people, a community at some level, at some size. But I wanted to point this out because a community goes bigger than that, because one of the things that we are always doing is making a life. We are creating a life. And within that, it's important that what we create has a community at its center. One of the big dangers, I think, for any creatives, especially people like artists, people that are trying to do something new and put their heart on the line and share it with others, one of the dangers with being that type of person, one of the dangers of being that type of person and having ADHD is that we can become isolated real fast. And wow, can I become isolated really quickly? It's partly to do with some of the sensitivity that's within us. The sensitivity that allows us to be beautifully creative also can help me to be very isolating. I can be very sensitive to rejection. I can feel like I'm in trouble, especially if I'm vulnerable and honest. I feel like I get into trouble so fast with other people, whether that's perceived or real. I know it's real sometimes because I actually get into trouble. I don't pick up on the social cues often in a community. I seem to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing at the wrong time. I have difficulty trusting others because of all of that. I have difficulty trusting that others are prepared to help me rather than just take from me. I feel like every time I go to do something for someone, every time I ask someone for some help, I end up helping them. And perhaps I'm just bad at sharing my needs. Perhaps I'm just, don't share it in the first place. You might feel like if I'm struggling with community that much, why would I bother having community at the center of this creative process? Why not just create a process that doesn't involve community at all? Why not just make it and hide it under my bed? But I feel this, that while it can be challenging, it's absolutely critical to me, both in a positive and a negative sense. You might ask why I'm bothering to share any of these things on YouTube, and you might think, why on the studio channel show us the making of the two hands, the hand of God and Adam, and the creation of that print? Why show the skateboard videos and invite people to laugh at you for not being able to ollie properly? Why do any of those things? But I want to invite community in. I value them being on the journey and getting to know me. And this is part of who I am. The skateboarding, the doing the print drawings, everything I do is part of who I am. I want people to be invited into that space, even though I know it's really difficult. But I am convinced that having healthy community around me, having healthy people around me that are able to make a contribution to who I am and what I'm doing is just critical for me to be and to have a creative life. A life that I create, that I'm wanting to be invested in. I think the really good part of community is that they help me to be the best version of myself. If I am prepared to make and share and listen and do that in a community that's around me, they help me to grow. They help me to discern if that's actually good or if it's a bit rubbishy. They help me to develop my skills, my craft. They help me to understand myself and maybe my motivations and maybe my priorities. Maybe they help me to be bigger than just zeroing in and just doing art 24 hours a day, 3 days. Like I can do stuff nonstop. They help me to eat food and have a life. But I think the real benefit here in community, and especially if you can find the time to invest in a community around you, a team around you, friends and family around you, the benefit of that community around us is when I spiral down into the depths, and it can happen really fast for me. I feel like the world can overwhelm me really fast. It can happen in seconds for me to go from being pretty happy to spiraling down to a very dark place. And in those moments, all I can see is failures and problems, and everyone hates me. Everything's against me. And it feels really hopeless, really fast. And in those moments, I definitely need a community around me. Someone that can help me to pull me out of that space. And what's on me in those moments is that I'm prepared to apply this process to my life and say, what I'm making at the moment is actually dangerous to me. The thoughts that I'm creating, the processes, the things that are going on in my world and that around me, they're not helping me. And in that moment, what I'm making is damaging to me. But if I'm prepared to share it and listen to the community give me feedback, they absolutely help me to come out of those dark spaces. You think about one of the early episodes where I talked about my ADHD diagnosis. That took me into a dark place really fast. And I think in that video, I just mentioned books and things that were helpful, podcasts and etc. And they were very helpful for understanding. But community, family, my wife, my kids, my friends, people that were in my community that gathered around me in those moments and helped me to see perspective, helped me to understand what was going on, helped to point me in the right direction. They didn't necessarily solve all the issues, but they helped me to understand that I was still a person of value and to be careful with where I was going with these thoughts. They challenged me appropriately in those moments. And while it can be difficult to hear that in a positive light, they were positive challenges. They were needed challenges. I needed to be called out of that. So I'm so thankful in so many ways for the community that is around me. I value what they might have to say when they laugh at a skateboard video that I make. I value what they say when they see a more serious work like the hand of God and Adam and what I wrote on those, what I created with those pictures. But I really love and value the community that is around me that helps me to create a life that I want to live, a life where it's silly and it's serious and it's beautiful. And it's not just my art I'm talking about me as a person. And being able to be in the center of a community where I can help others to do the making and the sharing and the listening, and where they can do it back for me. So I don't know if I overlooked it or if it just having done the videos on create and share and listen, it was just blatantly obvious to me that I needed to do another video. But my strong encouragement is to foster the community that is at the center of your creative life and what you are creating, and allow that community to speak to you when you offer an artwork and when you offer your life. And if you're someone like me that has ADHD and struggles with trusting communities, find a way to have communities and people around you that when you are really at your darkest, they just reach in and reef you out. I have needed those people. And I'm so thankful that I get to create with a community at the center of my life and around me. See you soon.